LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga is a dang near perfect game. Released in 2007, this game is still an absolute blast and will never be forgotten. Whether you prefer the prequels or the original trilogy, all 6 iconic movies are packed into one game for LEGO fun. Which makes you wonder, what else could they possibly add to this game? Yes, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga includes all 6 OG movies plus the 3 sequels. Now, I'm not here to debate which set of movies are better or even which game is better for that matter. I'm simply here to compare the 2 games and you can decide for yourself what you prefer. Though both games take you through the Star Wars storyline, they are 2 completely different games. The Complete Saga is simple, charming, and absolutely nostalgic, while the Skywalker Saga is huge, extremely detailed, and jam-packed with content. Yes, I know that LEGO Star Wars The Clone Wars is a thing, but because that game is in a different ballpark story-wise, we won't be discussing it. And we don't talk about LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens. With that being said, let's compare the 2. Like I mentioned before, both games are very different from each other. In the Complete Saga, all the story and most of the content is packed into the levels, which makes this game much more linear. There's not much to explore outside of the levels besides the cantina in Mos Eisley and its outside areas. You can weirdly enough visit the LEGO Indiana Jones trailer here. The Skywalker Saga is pretty much an open world game. There are different planets throughout the movie scattered across the galaxy that you can travel via ship. This is where the bulk of the content lays. Now, if you're a completionist like myself and want to see that sweet 100% completion, the Complete Saga will take you about 25 to 35 hours to complete, which is actually a solid amount of time for a game like this. If you're looking at 100% complete the Skywalker Saga, on the other hand, it can take around 87 hours. That's 237 episodes of straight SpongeBob. Let's put this into perspective. The Complete Saga has 160 bricks to collect, which you get by beating each level, collecting all the mini-kits in each level, getting True Jedi in each level, buying them in the store, and all the random bonus levels. It also has 120 characters for you to collect. The Skywalker Saga has 1,200 bricks to collect and 380 characters. That is significantly more. So if you couldn't get enough LEGO Star Wars before, you definitely can now. In terms of style, the Complete Saga has your classic LEGO look. Simple, cute, and, well, Lego-y. There are no voice lines in the game besides Anakin's yippee, so they all murmur instead and they use props and body language to let you know what's going on. The Skywalker Saga is much more detailed and goes for the more realistic look. They use voice actors for the game, so there are many voice lines and they are scarily accurate to the movies.
Did you hear that? They shut down the main reactor.
While each weapon pretty much looks the same in the Complete Saga, weapons are much more detailed and unique to each character in the newer game. Within the newer game, there are now perks for everyone in each class of character. Some of these perks replace the extras in the Complete Saga, which make for more unique extras in the Skywalker Saga. Some of these extras include Big Head Mode, Baguette Lightsabers, and Gonk Civilians, which replaces all civilians with Gonk droids. To be honest, the extras in the newer game aren't as cool as the extras in the older one, but they may be because if you had all of them in the Complete Saga, you were way too OP and there would be no challenge. And a lot of the extras are basically just filters in the newer game. But don't worry, our precious stud multipliers are still here. Speaking of extras, there are no longer red bricks located in each level, but there are data cards out in the open world which you use to buy extras. And you don't need a specific red brick anymore to get the exact extra you want. Now let's talk about one of the most important parts of the game, the characters. There are now 380 characters plus 40 DLC ones, compared to the Complete Saga's 120. Instead of having all the characters sprawled out in some strange order, they are now characterized into different groups. These groups include heroes, scavengers, bounty hunters, villains, Siths, astromech droids, protocol droids, and extras. Or if you want to see them all sprawled out like in the Complete Saga, you can do that too. Characters in different outfits still count as a separate character, but you can now sort through them under that character instead of just taking up a different slot. Like the Complete Saga, there are class abilities, however they are different and switched up. There is no longer characters who can high jump, nor can short characters go through these short holes. These are reserved for droids like BB-8 and half of C-3PO because he can now disassemble. Slower characters like Yoda and droids can now move much faster, which is more convenient but not as accurate, so it depends on what your preferences are. I mean, it's a LEGO game. I'm not going to be upset if it's not 100% accurate to the movies. All characters with guns can aim and shoot instead of the blaster targeting the nearest item or enemy. Droids like C-3PO can now jump and fight as well. This is pretty huge because in the Complete Saga there were a fair amount of missions where one of the 2 playable characters were droids or even both, so if you had a second player playing with you, they were pretty much stuck doing the boring stuff. Jedis and Sith pretty much have the same abilities. Besides obviously using the Force, they can now use their lightsabers to climb specific walls and destroy them. In the complete saga, there was a fixed path when using the Force on an item. Now when you use the Force, you control where that item goes, adding to the puzzle element or just chucking items at enemies. Also, there are no more items that can only be interacted with the dark side Force. When using the Force in the complete saga on a stormtrooper, it would temporarily distract them, then they would return to normal, even if you were playing as a Sith. You can only really Force push droids. However, in the Skywalker Saga, you can pretty much Force push anyone you like. Or if you'd like a more subtle approach, you can use the Force to distract enemies, control them, or to make them panic. Along with new Force mechanics, there is also a new combat system. Instead of just swinging your lightsaber over and over at enemies in boss fights, you now use different button combinations to combo your opponent. If you spam the same attack, they will start to block and take no damage. You can now aim and throw your lightsaber as well, which is really cool. Aiming and jumping in any direction will perform a dodge with any character. Jedis and Siths also have acrobatic abilities, being able to jump onto climb bars and run on walls. Grappling is now reserved for heroes, bounty hunters, and astromech droids instead of everyone just with a gun. Heroes also have specific terminals only they could use. Along with this, most heroes can pick up disguises which are dropped when defeating enemies. This is kind of similar to how certain characters in the complete saga can deploy a stormtrooper helmet to get access to the doors, except now they don't disappear when you get shot, which was pretty frustrating back in the day. Scavengers have the same acrobatic abilities as Jedis and Siths. Scavengers are really interesting because of the tools they have. Characters like R2-D2 can no longer glide in the Skywalker Saga. Instead, this is a tool that all scavengers can use to glide through the air for a fair amount of time. They also have a net launcher that shoots nets onto specific walls to climb, and a breaker blaster that can be used to destroy specific breaker blaster walls. There's not much scoundrels can do that other characters can't, but they can take on scoundrel missions in the open world. Bounty hunters no longer have explosives like in the complete saga, nor are there any more bounty hunter doors. They can now use their burst fire weapons to destroy gold items and can accept bounty hunter missions. The complete saga had bounty hunter missions you could accept from Jabba the Hutt, which I personally thought was cooler. Villains now hold the ability to use explosives, which are still used to destroy silver objects. They also have their own terminal as well as weapon crates. These weapon crates allow you to access unique and powerful weapons. It's a neat feature, but the second you do anything else besides shoot, you drop the weapon, so it's not the most practical and they have a limited amount of ammo. Astromechs still have their own terminals, except you do this weird puzzle each time. And weirdly enough, they can grapple as well. All droids can still be used as stealth to sneak past enemies. Protocol droids have their own terminals that can be used to disable alarms, control other droids and equipment, and enter passwords gained from other terminals. They can also be used to interpret foreign languages when speaking to characters in the open world. There are many extra characters in the game that don't have specific abilities but are just cool to own, like a frickin' Rancor. There's now a new perk system in the game. Each class of characters have their own specific upgrades, along with core upgrades that are applied to everyone. In the core upgrades, you will find previous extras like fast build, attract studs, collectible finder, and more. Every upgrade can be purchased multiple times to increase its effects and add more benefits to it. Though some class upgrades are a bit useless or extra for a LEGO game, there are many great ones that can add specific weapons, combat mechanics, and the ability to bypass puzzles when using terminals. Along with studs to purchase these perks, you will also need the collectible Kyber bricks as well, so you will have to do a bit of hunting. Obviously, the Skywalker Saga has much more detail than the complete saga, so each weapon is unique to their own character instead of just the default gun with a red stud on the end. What you see in the films is what you get. Many of the more important characters now have their own animations, whether that's in combat or just monkeying around. Less important characters are still given an impressive amount of detail. All characters that can speak now have voice lines voiced by actors instead of murmuring. And let me just say, the voice acting for this game is incredible.
Oh, great. It's the Guavian security soldiers. Get below and stay there until I say so.
C-3PO and Lando Calrissian were actually played by the actors themselves from the movies, as well as others like Boss Nass and Sam Wessel.
This deal is getting worse all the time.
Many other larger characters like General Grievous, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan, and many more were voiced by the same actors used in the animated TV shows. Other characters like Rey, Han, and Leia who don't have the original actors voicing them are still scarily accurate. I couldn't even tell the difference most of the time.
If we close the blast doors in that corridor, we can trap both lanes.
Some LEGO games like Marvel Avengers just ripped the voice line straight from the movies, which sounded pretty awkward.
This doesn't have to get any messier.
Of course it does. I've come too far for anything else.
Even characters that will most likely never get played more than once have unique voice lines, which is amazing detail.
Man, I'm hungry. hungry. Let me know when we can break for lunch.
Now let's move on to the ships. There are 21 ships in the Complete Saga, while there are 123 ships in the Skywalker Saga. In the Complete Saga, you can only use ships in specific levels. When you collect all 10 mini-kits in each level, you get a micro ship you can view outside. However, you cannot drive these ships, but are just collectibles. In the Skywalker Saga, you can fly these ships as well as all ships when exploring space and doing flight missions in the open world. However, because each flight level in the Skywalker Saga depends so heavily on the type of vehicle you're flying, you can no longer change vehicles in free play levels, which means there are no more Imperial doors. They can only be opened with villain ships, which is a bit disappointing. Flying in the Complete Saga is more of a top-down perspective, while it's more of a behind-the-shoulder perspective in the Skywalker Saga. There is a fixed crosshair on your screen that you use to maneuver and shoot down enemy ships. You can barrel roll out of the way when an enemy locks onto you, but that's about all the moves you can do. It would have been cool if they added the backflip turn from the Complete Saga. In the Skywalker Saga, you can spawn huge capital ships like the Death Star. These act like mini planets you can land in and explore and collect collectibles in. This is actually a pretty awesome touch. Each ship's weapons and sounds are unique to each vehicle and feel incredibly smooth when flying. My favorite is and always has been the TIE Fighter. It sounds, feels, and moves so satisfyingly. Now, ships no longer need to collect proton torpedoes or buy the extra that gives them to you. Most ships are equipped with them. The Slave 1 ship has now been changed to Boba Fett's ship, which, I guess I could understand, but the word slave is still in the game, but it's not a big deal. The Complete Saga has 36 base levels that take you through the movies, 6 levels for each episode. Each episode also has a bonus level at the end that rewards you with 2 gold bricks each. Here you can compete by yourself or against a friend to see how fast you can get 1,000,000 studs. The Complete Saga also has 6 very unique extra levels. 2 of these levels place you in some regular looking residential areas where you have to destroy everything and do every task to get all the coins in the level. They were kind of strange but really fun. One of the levels goes through the Secret Plans level but in the perspective of Darth Vader, which is pretty cool. There are also 2 bonus levels you can play that were the original designs for the level on the game before the Complete Saga, Anakin's Pod Race and Gunship Cavalry. Anakin's Flight is a bonus level that takes you through little Anakin destroying the Federation ship, which is just a regular level in the Skywalker Saga. Here you can also watch the LEGO Indiana Jones trailer, which actually rewards you with Indiana Jones as a playable character, which is kinda awesome. Each base level has 10 mini-kits to collect, true Jedi status, and a red brick. Each level also has a blue mini-kit challenge where you have to speed through the level and collect all the mini-kits under a certain time. The Skywalker Saga has 45 base levels, which there are 5 mini-kits for each level, true Jedi status, and no red brick. New to the game are mission challenges. Each level has 3 challenges you must complete to get the Kyber brick. These challenges can range anywhere from destroying all enemies to rescuing all civilians. There are a lot of unique challenges to complete. The levels are much shorter compared to the Complete Saga because a lot of the smaller stuff you would originally do inside the levels, you now do it out in the open world before entering a level. Because the levels are longer and contains all the content in the Complete Saga, they feel much more special and more like you're actually playing through the movies, even if they are less detailed. The levels in the Complete Saga are much tighter so you know exactly where to go. There are extra places to explore within these levels, but they are a bit small but still very cool. The levels in the Skywalker Saga feel much bigger, maybe even too big sometimes. These levels often have different paths you can take, and there were some points I got a little lost on where I needed to go. Nonetheless, they are extremely detailed and still an absolute blast. Unfortunately, there are no more double score zones where you could rack up an insane stud multiplier of 7,680. Because there were no voice lines in the Complete Saga, the cinematic cutscenes had to be acted out so you as the player understood what was happening, which made for some hilarious scenes. But just because the cutscenes in the Skywalker Saga now have voice lines doesn't mean they aren't just as goofy. They are always seen doing some strange activities while talking so serious, and they will throw in a funny line that sounds just like the original actor, which is guaranteed to throw you off and make you chuckle.
These are your final steps, Rey. Rise and take them.
I don't like sand.
I agree.
Now is not the time for this.
Boss battles are also very different in the Skywalker Saga. With the fighting mechanics, the voice lines, and the special animations when clashing lightsabers, it makes the fight far more intense. When you would play free play in the Complete Saga, you'd pick one character to play as and the game would randomly pick the characters you would need. In the Skywalker, however, you can pick whatever character you want to play at any time. With the Skywalker Saga being an open world game, there is a lot to dive into. There are 23 different planets. Each planet has their own kyber bricks to unlock, data cards, characters, ships, and missions. They also each have their own space that have collectibles as well. These planets and locations are extremely detailed, and for the most part, you can explore whatever you want at any time. There are many buildings and key places from the movies you can enter that makes this game feel truly unique. And man oh man, there are a lot of Easter eggs hidden within these planets. Kyber bricks are pretty fun to collect in my opinion. Some require you to do some parkour, others may require you to solve a puzzle, while others may have you bouncing around the galaxy hunting supplies. And may I just add, some of these puzzles they have you doing can be tough. I can't imagine 8-year-old me trying to do some of these. The collectibles in space are pretty cool too. Sometimes you're in a dogfight, and sometimes you're destroying a comet that contains 5 kyber crystals. If you need a hint to help get those pesky collectibles, you can talk to the locals where they will tell you a rumor. Or you can just buy each rumor for 30,000 studs. Traveling across the galaxy is pretty cool, but I don't think anything could beat just sitting in the cantina, listening to the music. Like I said before, I'm not here to tell you which game is better. Heck, I couldn't even tell you myself what game I think is better. Though both games have their flaws, there are very little of them, and I absolutely love these games. You don't have to be an old school gamer or a new school one to appreciate both games and to have some fun. I tried to capture everything about both games into one short video, so I apologize if I missed anything, like how you could customize your own character in the complete saga. Let me know down in the comments if there is anything else I missed. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and may the Force be with you.